Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's eddbud and I make videos about running shoes. I think you might enjoy them, so please do hit that subscribe button and click the bell for notifications below when new videos are launched. Also give this video a like, I'd very much appreciate it. Today I've got a shootout between two running shoes many viewers have requested. We're looking at the James Dean and the Paul Newman of running shoes today. The New Balance Fuelcell Rebel and the Fuelcell TC. That Rebel was an upstart, pacey offering and one of the first to use New Balance's Fuelcell midsole material. Its bigger brother, the Fuelcell TC, a refined implementation or perhaps a beefed up version of the Fuelcell Rebel. Of course, with the carbon plate. Gotta have one of those. So which one do I prefer? Let's get into it. We're going to start with upper, as per usual. The Rebel first. This flyknit type upper is as light as a feather, yet hugs like a bear around the foot. Though the supplied elastic laces did confuse me a little bit at first. I felt somewhat like Bill Murray in the very start section of Groundhog Day. I just couldn't quite figure out what was going on. Every time I laced the shoe up, it would just become loose after the first couple of kilometers. I think the shoe's purpose just became lost in translation to me. The TC upper is like snow, blizzards and wolves. Those images kept occupying my mind. Cold thoughts all the time. And that was very welcome on those hot 10 and 7 mile runs I've recently done at pace in the Fuelcell TC. The upper's certainly more substantial here. Perhaps more standard and traditional than the flyknit type upper on the Rebel. It's certainly a beautiful one with the suede implementation around the heel. Like a Gretsch guitar with all the finery and the bullion of Mr. T from the A-Team. Certainly does feel like quite a premium shoe. For me, I think at pace and speed, I do prefer the upper on the TC in comparison to the Rebel. I think it just edges it. I think this one's actually a more forgiving shoe at my endurance paces, those slower paces. And it still feels great right up to EDDBUD race velocity. The Rebel is more like James Dean's famous car, of which I won't name because it's a little rude. It's just the necessities here. There's none of all that extra pizzazz about it. It's a low down to the floor racer. Stripped back and, like some of Brian Setzer's tunes, built for speed. So for upper, I'm going to give it to the TC. Still comfortable enough. Just don't think I'd want to drive 250 miles in it. That's just an arbitrary figure I just pulled out of my mind. Midsole next. There's lavish amounts of Fuelcell material here in both shoes. In the TC, it's like a Trebor soft mint with added double cream with a hint of Hubba Bubba. I think there's a little more snap in the Rebel when you get up to pace. More of a smooth roll in the TC. Though I do feel that power is there when you really put your foot through the floor. It kind of reminds me a little bit of my father's diesel Volvo estate. That thing can move, I tell you. I think it could be something to do with the fact that you've got this TPU piece in the midsole of the Rebel that provides that real snap. I don't think it crackles and pops as well, it's just snap. I think I've posted some of my fastest times doing interval and speed work wearing the Fuelcell Rebel. The only thing that put me off was that slightly snug upper. I think if I could have done, I would have gone up a half size possibly. Though I don't think this shoe will suit everybody. I think that outer side protrusion might put a few off. The TC does share that same fin on the outer side, though obviously there's a lot more in terms of stack height here. It's certainly high up here, so those with vertigo do beware. The internet, for what it's worth, suggests there's a 36mm heel and 26mm in the forefoot, so it's about a 10mm drop. The Rebel somewhat more conservative with a 6mm drop, only 24mm in the heel and 18mm in the forefoot. I think my preference here would be down to use case really. What do you want the shoe for? Are you just popping down to the shops to get yourself a 4-pack and a bag of Twiglets? If you're racing a 5k, then I might well go for the Rebel. Perhaps even up to a 10k. For those shorter bursts, those shorter intervals, I think the Rebel would probably suit your needs perfectly. Though if you have more tunes to play inside your shoe, I think the TC could be the one for you, right up to the marathon distance perhaps. I've really enjoyed it up to 10 or 12 miles, it's ideal for me there. In fact, it's left my legs feeling almost fresh. Maybe the TC just edges it due to the fact I think it's a little more versatile. So I'm going to give this one to the TC. It's marginal though, marginal. Down to use case. Very much about what you want to do with the shoe really. On to outsole next. The TC has a really nice generous slab of rubber here in the forefoot and midfoot area. It doesn't scrimp back here either. There are fins of rubber either side. Certainly gives a nice wide landing platform here. Always feel very stable in this shoe. I know some people that have tried it haven't, but old EDDBUD feels stable in this one. Strong and stable perhaps? Yeah. I don't feel like I have to stay alert as much in terms of my footing in the TC as other shoes. Yeah, certainly more forgiving in terms of foot strike, certainly than the 4% Flyknit, or maybe even the next percent, maybe. I found traction solid on most surfaces, apart from gravel, of which I almost crashed into a fence earlier on. The Rebel's got an even longer stretched outsole rubber shape. Comes down to close to the heel, and then a small, almost tick-like shape of rubber in the heel section. I found this rubber a little more slippery in wet conditions, and I think of the two outsoles, I probably prefer the TC. The TC hasn't got those annoying small holes as well. See, even with the brush, I just can't get the mud out of there. Maybe I could try the vacuum cleaner. I'm sure Mrs. EDDBUD won't think I've completely lost my mind. I think that the TC is going to perhaps be a little more hard-wearing than the Fuelcell Rebel. I think in the long run, with both shoes close to 100 miles now, or at least coming up to 100 miles, I think this one's probably going to win it on durability. It's just hardly even a scratch on it. It reminds me a little bit of the A-Team, when there used to be these huge explosions and then the guys would just crawl out of the Jeep and they'd just be a bit dazed. That's kind of what the TC outsole's like. Bit of wear on the Fuelcell Rebel outsole, but nothing to write home about. TC for the win on this one. Now we're on to value. Okay, well, value is where we have to address the elephant in the room. With the TC coming in at £180, we need to talk about that. That's like 180 kind bars that you could buy for a pair of these shoes. That's a lot. In fact, you could even buy yourself a mini Fender Strat and a small amplifier and a cable for the same price as this shoe. Well, and the other shoe that comes with it. 180 is certainly some
big bucks.
A real wallet depressor. And I think we need to compare this up against some other shoes in a similar price point. The Hoka Carbon X, £160. Bit firm, but still a good shoe. Carbon plate, very similar. The Turbo 2, you can pick these up for way under that right now. Much lighter a shoe as well. See? See how light it is? The Saucony Endorphin Pro that's coming out shortly, £180. The Asics Meta Racer, set to retail at £180. The Vaporfly 4% Flyknit, if you can find one. Maybe you can buy one. £175. So 180 is a lot for a shoe that is quite weighty. Is it worth that? I've enjoyed my time in it. I haven't run a bad mile in that shoe. It's been enjoyable. It's been exciting. It's been one of those shoes that I come into the shoe sanctuary before my run and think, shall I wear the TC again? No, I should not neglect those other shoes that are crying out for some miles. I think if it was perhaps £20, £30 cheaper, it would have a lot more sales. There'd be a lot more interest in it. I think it's confusing people. New Balance. Think carefully about that one. The Rebel now, sub £100. I've seen places you can pick it up for £65, £70. I think that's cracking value for a shoe with the Fuelcell material, and one you could run some really fast-paced races in. So I think I've got to give the value crown to the Fuelcell Rebel. I'd be a crazy man not to. I think even at the full price of over £100, it's still a great shoe. Winner overall, listen very closely. I shall say this only once. I think my winner overall in this shootout would be the Fuelcell TC though. As I say, not a bad mile. And I love the suede. What are your views on the Fuelcell Rebel and the TC? Have you worn them? Do you own them? Do you love them? Do you agree with me on this shootout? If not, that's cool. I want to hear about it. Place your comments below and I shall do my best to respond to as many as possible. I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. I've really enjoyed making it. In fact, I think I've had possibly the most fun I've ever had making this video. There are many outtakes and one day I might put them online so you can enjoy them too. Time for a musical interlude. I've just wanted loud, distorted, garbled, nasty electric guitar recently. That's been my target every time. So I dug out Weld by Neil Young and Crazy Horse. It just sounds like the guitar is liquid metal. It's like there's lava flowing out of the earbuds. I really enjoy Mansion on the Hill. That's a particularly nasty version. So do check it out, guys. Neil Young and Crazy Horse. You'll really enjoy this one. If you've had one of those frustrating days and things just aren't going your way, you'll put this on and Neil will make it all alright. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate it. I really do. Appreciate all the supporters, all the subscribers, and everyone that's commenting, making sure I stay humble. My dad always told me, be humble. Always speak to the supporters, always speak to the people that support you. It really does make a difference. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and click the bell for notifications so a thing will pop up and say, EDDBUD, he's back! Comments below and give the video a thumbs up like. It really does help to get us to the toppermost of the poppermost, as John Lennon used to say, apparently. I'll see you in the next one, guys. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you.